Hello, my name is Allie, and welcome to my channel. We are back with Color X Malice, Okazaki's route. Let's go. Alright, I have to give this a thorough read. Hopefully, I can notice if anything's off. For a while, I engrossed myself in the files. We'll just use Okazaki's voice, see what happens. That case was a little unnatural. I turned around in surprise at the voice. Was I right? Yeah. Hi, lady. That sounds so funny. Hello? Wait, why are you here? I had business at the police station, and I saw you coming in here. So I followed you and ended up here. Ended up here? He had mentioned that he had something to do here this morning. I had heard that the SP were secretly coordinating with local jurisdiction. Maybe he was meeting with the security division. While I pondered that, Sakuragawa lightly clapped me on the shoulder. You even know the SP? What's your relationship? Huh? What's that supposed to mean? I wonder if I can reveal that I know Yanagi and his team. But doesn't she know Sasazuka? Our relationship, huh? Hey, lady, should we keep it a secret? What? Why is he asking me? You look like you're too embarrassed to say. That's why it's a secret, right? Oh. Hey, Okazaki, don't say it like that. Will they? It's right, though. I'm pretty sure it isn't. I couldn't think of any way to accurately describe my relation to him. Watching me panic, Sakuragawa grinned. Well, aren't you a smooth operator? Looks like you're a girl after all. Like I said, we're specifically not like that. This is headed in the wrong direction. So, I'll put these away if you're done with them. Wait. I grabbed the files as Sakuragawa started to leave with them. Are those the files on July? Yes. Instead of berating me, Okazaki now looked curious. Can I see them too? As an SP officer, Okazaki, like myself, wouldn't have authority to investigate the case. I looked to Sakuragawa for response. It's none of my business. She returned to her own work. I think she was enjoying this. I suppose that reaction meant that he also had her permission to see them. Looks like she's okay with it. Let me see. I don't know. With a tinge of uncertainty, I turned the page. Here we go. The crime had occurred in Kabukicho. There was a lot of foot traffic at the time. Okay, so first thing we're going to look at is the crime scene situation, which is right here. According to witness statements, a woman screamed, and then there was confusion. A man attacked her while calling out, "Let's die together." Then Ogata, a passerby, jumped in and grappled with Shimizu. We've covered this already. It says, while they were grappling, Shimizu dropped the knife. Ogata picked it up and used it against Shimizu. I guess if he was on drugs, it makes sense for him to be disarmed or drop his weapon, but this feels like it went too smoothly. All accounts agree that a man attacked a woman, and that the person that stepped in was also attacked and used the knife to stab the initial assailant. Now, it says to click on it twice, so we're going to do the crime scene of a situation again. Oh, look at this. One of the statements is a little different. The passerby, Ogata, twisted Shimizu's wrist? What if this is how he got Shimizu to drop the knife? These accounts are not necessarily reliable. Another one, here. It says that Ogata said something when he stepped in to protect the woman. There's no record of what he said, though. We won't get anything out of this. Next, we are going to look at the site of the body. Or state of the body. Which one is it? State of the body. Close enough. It is the site, too. I guess so. The case of death was blood loss resulting from a knife wound to the heart. Only one wound, deep in the heart. He probably died instantly. He didn't even have time to say anything. It probably looked like an instant kill to anyone in the area. That's what bugs me. Huh? Let's keep reading. And then we're going to click on that again. Let's go to that. There's an addendum, too. The autopsy also turned up some drugs in the victim's system. According to Sakuragawa's testimony... Oh, no. I knew I was going to do this constantly. According to Sugawara's testimony, the victim said, "Let's die together," before attacking. So he probably wasn't in a sound mental state. When he attacked, Ogata, a passerby, jumped into the fray. Bystanders witnessed the melee. I wonder if he said anything. Huh? Ah, are you suggesting that Ogata said something to further provoke Shimizu? He wasn't in sound mind to begin with, so Ogata getting involved just provoked him further. Well, it would be an understandable reaction if he thought Ogata was getting in the way. Maybe Ogata being there made things worse than when Shimizu was already under the influence, and that pushed him over the edge. I don't think that makes sense. July autopsy has been added to materials. Now we are going to click on the ground. Of course. Let's click on the ground. Right there. The ground. There wasn't the typical coin or Roman numeral at the crime scene. Yes. That's why no one thought to connect it to X Day at first, but later the coin and Roman numeral 6 were discovered at the victim's house. Or home. Close enough. Some within the police believed that Adonis took advantage of the situation and claimed responsibility for it. If we assume that it was completely unrelated to X Day, that would mean Adonis had to immediately locate the victim's home after his death and plant the evidence before the police showed up. That would be the only way to spin the accident as one of their own attacks. But that's not really realistic, is it? Yeah, since April, Adonis has been deliberately staging these incidents. It wouldn't be necessary to latch on to an unplanned homicide. So that means that they would have had to have planned every part of this out from the very beginning. Nice. Oh, and here we go again. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. There we go. We're back. Okay. Now we're going to do the ground again. Hopefully it doesn't do that crap again. Did you notice something about the terrain? I feel like we might have overlooked something. There weren't any lost belongings at the scene. All they found were Shimizu's wristwatch and the knife he used. Wait, what's this garbage-looking thing in the photo? It's just trash. Ugh. Lady, I'm pretty sure that the photo was taken for evidence preservation, and that forensics scoured every nook and cranny. Evidence preservation. To preserve the scene of the crime by cooperating with forensics so that evidence is not tampered with after the crime is committed. You're right. Sorry, I was just spinning my wheels. No need to rush. What's important isn't that we find mistakes, but take stock of all the information there is. Okay. All right, in the next part, let me see. We are going to click on murder weapon, which is over here. The knife. The weapon was a 15-centimeter knife. Shimizu owned it. He was carrying it presumably to attack Sugawara. The only fingerprints on the weapon were those of the victim, Shimizu, and the assailant, Ogata. No fingerprints for Sugawara, it looks like. Wouldn't that be obvious? I'm just interested in the possibilities. Let's keep reading. And back to the knife again. Blood on the knife belonged to two people, Shimizu and Ogata, so Ogata was injured too. Because he tried to stop Shimizu from going wild. Defensive wound on his arm. Only one, huh? Wouldn't there normally be more than that? One is too few in a scenario like this. It sounds like Shimizu was wildly swinging that weapon. I wonder how Ogata managed to disarm Shimizu in his enraged state. That's written in the interview report. So, two sources of blood on the knife means that Sugawara wasn't injured by the attack. She did well to avoid it. That means Ogata completely defended her when she was just inches from getting hurt. July murder weapon has been added to materials. Now we're going to go over here. Persons of interest data. The deceased, Shimizu, was age 29, unemployed. He was suspected of stalking the same woman previously. And Rika Sugawara is age 25, an office worker in Shinjuku. Shimizu had reportedly been stalking her for a few years. Oh, jeez, poor woman. There are police records of her reporting the stalking multiple times. There's the anti-stalking law, and it sounds like she did talk to the police, but they wouldn't act unless something actually happened. This could all have been prevented if they just did. There are all kinds of cases like that. Reports have to be prioritized. There's no helping that. And one more time. The passerby and assailant, Tomoki Ogata, is age 34 and an office worker in Shinjuku. He's changed jobs twice in the last 2 years. Probably because he was a suspect in the police abductions and murder in May. He was taken in on a mistaken arrest by a deceased officer. He was suspected of acting in revenge. He's got quite the history here. Huh? 2 years ago, he stepped in to stop a fight on a train platform. One of the men fell onto the tracks and died. That's why Ogata was arrested. And in May, the cop that arrested him was killed. So Ogata was suspected again and thought to be acting in revenge. He had an alibi, though. And in July this year, he happened to stumble upon a stalker attacking a woman and killed him to protect her. Quite heroic of him. That connects him to 3 deaths. He's been under suspicion before, which caused him to repeatedly change jobs, yet he jumped in to stop an attacker once again. What if he's just really motivated by justice? But it says that he has no prior association with Shimizu or Sugawara. This would make a lot more sense if he did. It isn't easy to go this far for someone you've never seen or met before. July suspects has been added to materials. All right, moving on. When we finished looking through the files, Okazaki muttered something. This is strange. Yeah. As we'd looked through the files, several problems had arisen. If this really was an X-Day killing, then there had to be a clear reason to kill Shimizu. Assuming that was true, then the scenario wasn't an accident and was full of holes. Sugawara was completely unscathed by the attack. The assailant, Ogata, was a passerby. Ogata disarmed Shimizu, and Shimizu was on drugs. There was a nagging feeling that the entire incident had been set up. Okazaki, the part you think is strange is... We are going to make sure... I think Ogata stabbed him in the heart. Yeah, it's the one we're supposed to do. We're going to do that Ogata stabbed him in the heart. That Ogata killed Shimizu with a single thrust to the heart. Yeah, I'm impressed. You have good instincts. Huh? I thought it was something that was easy to notice if you read the files closely. Maybe, but there's a lot of confusing information. I'm impressed that you picked that out. I'm happy to be complimented, but does he really think I'm that thoughtless? I had mixed feelings about it. Sorry, that's not what I meant to imply. Okazaki's expression clouded, as if he had read something from my face. This stood out to me personally because I'm in the SP. I was just surprised you had the same perspective. What do you mean by an SP perspective? Well, why don't we go over how the assailant, Ogata, claims that his act was in defense of Sugawara. Justified self-defense indicates unintended harm to an assailant as a result of defense action during an emergency. Yes, the question of whether it was justified or unjustified is key to deciding whether this was murder. Okazaki nodded and continued. A lot of facts would make more sense if this incident was a murder orchestrated by Sugawara. She might have had a lot of pent-up hostility, but even if she didn't, it's normal to desperately protect yourself if you fear for your life. I could accept this if she wasn't responding to an unexpected attack, but was instead reacting to an anticipated outcome that went too far. She wasn't attacked by someone she didn't know, but rather someone she had prior experience with, someone who'd made death threats against her. She knew the danger she was in, so she might have been mentally ready to kill her attacker. I can understand how that feels. But the person that killed the stalker was just a random passerby, right? Yet he managed to take the frenzied attacker's knife, stab his heart, and not get badly hurt. But Ogata had a defensive wound on his arm from the knife, right? Defensive wound. Scars are marks that are caused when a victim is defending themselves from their attacker. One example would be scratches on the arm suffered while trying to cover and protect their face. It seems like the self-defense claims focus on that point.
If you ask me, it looks like he cut himself on purpose.
On purpose?
He only has one wound. Don't you think that's a really fortunate outcome in this situation?
Shimizu was high and wildly flailing the knife around. On top of that, Ogata was also shielding Sugawara. But he got away with only a minor flesh wound. Perhaps Ogata is a composed fighter and used to wielding edged weapons.
Yeah, it sounds simple to say he stabbed Shimizu in the heart, but that's really tough to do.
I had learned that at the police academy too. It was hard to target the heart, slightly left of center mass, and also protected by the ribcage.
I wouldn't expect a random passerby to try for such a high difficulty strike. But I guess there's always a chance that a skilled martial artist is in the area, or the guy just got one super lucky attack in.
Ogata's just a normal office worker, and it doesn't seem like he's trained in martial arts. In that case, it's actually suspicious that Ogata is totally unacquainted with Shimizu or Sugawara.
Yeah, if Shimizu wasn't a direct threat to him, I'd expect more hesitation from Ogata's actions. When you're not assertive and confident in your moves, that leaves you open in combat.
Yeah. Hearing the qualified SP officer's opinion, I emphatically agreed. Looking at the entire scenario, there were just too many things that didn't add up. I see it now. Ogata's history is too suspicious. He was mistakenly arrested 2 years ago. He was a police murder suspect in May. And then he had just happened to kill a man in defense of a woman being attacked on the street.
Yeah. If we take a big picture view of all this, Ogata's name comes up far too frequently.
Yeah.
Want to go see him? Tomoki Ogata is in detention. You can see him in person if you want.
It had been right under my nose. If I were to speak to Ogata in person, I'd be able to clear up many of my suspicions. But there was something nagging at me.
Considering the contents of that note, Rika Sugawara is indeed suspect.
The investigators suspect Sugawara. If the burned victim this morning turned out to be her associate, it would only be a matter of time before she was brought in for questioning. I want to talk to her before that. If she had a hand in this because she felt trapped by her stalker, I had to put a stop to it. If she had nothing to do with it, then I needed to rule out my suspicions. Either way, I was worried.
I want to see Ogata.
Huh? You want to go too?
Yeah, it's caught my interest.
Okazaki, you wouldn't also happen to be investigating X-Day, would you?
That's not it. I don't know anything about the other incidents. It's just that for a while, I've been curious about the July incident.
Speaking of which...
They're deciding if it's excessive self-defense. I feel a little bad for him being arrested when he acted in order to protect someone. He did protect the woman from the stalker, didn't he? Sometimes sacrifices have to be made.
He had said something similar before. Maybe as an SP, he's interested in whether it really was done to protect someone.
What about you? Are you going to?
We're going to go see Ogata. And I'm going to let you guys go here. I hope you are enjoying, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!